we are going to make some cookies. Now these cookies are delicious. I've tried this recipe before and I actually eat them for breakfast because they are so healthy for you. And I call them no sugar added or low sugar added oat chocolate chip cookies. And the reason why they could be no sugar completely, just depending on what your preference is and what you want to add to them. I add just a little bit of molasses in them, which molasses is incredibly good for you. So it's really hard for me to count that as a sugar. It's more like a health food. But that's the only sugar that's really in it other than what's in the chocolate chips. And you can omit the chocolate chips if you want to. The main sweetness comes from very ripe bananas. And for this recipe, I'm going to do a double recipe. In the description box below, I will put the amounts for a single recipe. But like I said, I'm going to make this a double recipe because you can stick these in the freezer. And like I said, I eat them for breakfast. So in a mixing bowl, you want to put your 4 very ripe bananas. Sweetness that's going to be in this is stevia. I love the Sweet Drops liquid stevia because I don't notice any bitter aftertaste to them. And this is the vanilla cream flavor. I like to use this in baking. And for this double recipe, you're going to want to put 6 of these dropperfuls. And like I said, this is completely to taste. If you want to just rely on the bananas for the sweetness, that's fine. But I did want these to taste like a cookie, so I wanted to up the sweetness. So that's why I added the stevia drops. And then you're also going to add molasses. And like I said, this is totally optional. And I'm going to put it's to your taste. I'm going to put 3 tablespoons in here, but you can either put none or you can add a little more or a little less, completely up to you. The original oatmeal cookie recipe called for molasses, and so that's why I decided to go ahead and add it to the recipe. And like I said, it's very, very healthy for you. There are some wonderful health benefits to molasses, so it's hard to consider it a sweetener when there's so many health benefits to it. Especially if you use the blackstrap molasses. Now this, what I'm using today, is not blackstrap molasses, but if I had blackstrap, I would use it. The next thing you want to add is some oil of some sort. I am going to use a combination of coconut oil and some of this organic vegetable shortening. And you're going to put 1/2 cup of each in with the bananas and the sweetener. Now if you are using frozen bananas for this, you're going to want them to be at room temperature. You're going to want to have them thaw out and have them at room temperature, or your coconut oil will seize up and become real clumpy. So there's 1/2 cup of coconut oil, and then I'm going to add 1/2 cup of this shortening, organic shortening. It's like an organic Crisco. And this might seem like a lot of fat, but this recipe will make a lot of cookies. So if you divide it up per cookie, it's really not that much fat. So now what you want to do is just turn on your mixer and beat it till all these ingredients are light and fluffy or as light and fluffy as it can be. Alright, so this is what it's going to look like when it's light. It's not really fluffy because of the banana, but it has incorporated really well and is lightened up. Alright, once you've got this mixture all light and fluffy, you want to add to it 2 eggs. And I had to buy these eggs because my chickens are not laying right now, so I don't have to crack them into a separate bowl. But if you have farm fresh eggs, you know you have to crack them in a separate bowl because sometimes you never know what you're going to find. So I'm going to go ahead and just mix those in real quick. Alright, then you want to add vanilla, and I am using this vanilla powder, and just because I have it on hand and my liquid vanilla is almost all gone. So for 1 teaspoon of regular vanilla, you want to use 1/4 of a teaspoon of this vanilla powder. I need 2 teaspoons of vanilla, so I'm going to be putting in 1/2 teaspoon of this vanilla powder. Now, since the stevia that I used also had the vanilla flavoring in it, then that will boost the vanilla flavor as well. So 1/2 teaspoon of vanilla powder. Then you're going to want to put cinnamon in, and it's completely up to you how much cinnamon you put in. You know me and my love for cinnamon, so I'm going to put in about 4 heaping tablespoons of cinnamon. Cinnamon is another one of those things that is so healthy for you, just really hard for you to eat too much of it. Then you're going to want to put in 1 teaspoon of salt. 4 teaspoons of baking soda. And then you want to just give that a real quick mix. Also, to up the nutritional value of these cookies, I'm going to be adding some ground chia seed. Now, if you don't have the ground chia seed, you can use the whole ones. It doesn't matter. So I'm going to add 4 tablespoons of ground chia. Chia seeds are very healthy for you. They help fill your gut and make you feel fuller, and it makes your stomach feel full for longer. I'm going to go ahead and mix these in now. Okay, so now is when you want to add your flour. And like I said, I'm using these as breakfast cookies, and I just want them to be very healthy and nutritious. So I'm going to add partial whole wheat flour and partial all-purpose flour. So I'm going to put in 1 cup of whole wheat flour. This is a 1/2 cup measure, so I'll put 2 of those in to equal 1 cup. Want to put in 1/2 cup of all-purpose flour. And I use organic all-purpose flour. So then you want to mix this in. Alright, so now you're probably thinking that is just not nearly enough dry ingredients for all those wet ingredients, and you would be right. The main dry ingredient that goes into these cookies is oatmeal, and I just use the old-fashioned rolled oats that I get from Aldi. And you're going to want to put in 4 cups of rolled oats. I'm going to put 2 cups in and then mix it up, and then I'll put the other 2 cups in. And then this is where you can either stop right here, and these would be a very, very low sugar cookie, or you can put add-ins. You can put dried fruit in, you can put chocolate chips in, you can put nuts in. You basically can put whatever. You could even put peanut butter chips in, whatever you want to put in. I am going to put in some chopped hazelnuts and chocolate chips. And I'm going to start off with 1 cup of the nuts and 1 cup of the chocolate chips. And I'm just going to slowly stir those in with my mixer. Now the last time I made these, I didn't really measure my chocolate chips. I just dumped them in, and believe it or not, I felt like there was too many chocolate chips in it. It's like, can there be too much chocolate? But yeah, I felt like there was, especially if we're eating them for breakfast. You just don't really want something super, super duper sweet for breakfast. At least I don't. So I'm going to start off with 1 cup of chocolate chips, and I may add maybe a half a cup more because, like I said, I am doing a double batch. Actually, I think that's probably enough. I will add just maybe a 1/4 of a cup more, and I do believe that will be enough chocolate chips. So on your cookie sheets, you're going to want to put parchment paper. If you don't have parchment paper, then you can just lightly spray it with cooking spray. And I've got this cookie scoop that I'm going to use, and I'm going to make some nice sized cookies on my tray here. And these do not really spread much, so you can put them together pretty tightly on the tray. Once I get the cookie tray full, I'll bring you back. Alright, so I've got these 2 cookie pans filled. My oven is old and doesn't work too great. The bottom shelf, if you put anything on the bottom rack, it burns. So I'll only be doing 2 trays at a time because that's what will fit on my top rack. You cook these at 375 degrees for 10 to 12 minutes or until they are golden brown. When I have all of the cookies done, I'll bring you back and we'll do a taste test. There they are. Made quite a few. I didn't count how many. At least 4 dozen. Probably 4 and closer to 5 dozen. And they're beautiful and they smell delicious, and I'm going to give them a taste test. So you can see the inside. Mmm. Yum, 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 yum. Let's give it a bite. Mmm. Mmm, delicious. You can taste just a little bit of the banana, but this is really, really good. It's a cookie, but it's more like a breakfast food, in my opinion. Alright friends, I hope you enjoyed this video of my sugar-free cookies. They're delicious and I think you will enjoy them. Like I said, I will put the recipe in the description box below. If you give them a try, let me know in the comments section. Thanks a lot for watching, friends. Talk to you later. Bye.